What's up, everybody? Last night, Season 3 of The Mandalorian met its end, and I gotta tell you, while I enjoyed this season through its ups and downs, these final two episodes delivered what I was hungry for. We got some really great action sequences, a couple close calls, and a big tease for next season, and we're gonna get into all of it right now. This episode wasted no time, almost to a fault at points, as we jump in right where we left off with Bo and the other spies, and I'll get to that in the last section of the breakdown, what I mean by the other spies. On the run from the trap Moff Gideon set and the place where Paz Vizsla gave his life for his brethren. As they're escaping, Bo contacts Axe Wolves who reach the atmospheric storm and has to hurry to warn the fleet of the coming attack. But we cut away just as his connection to Bo and the ground crew is cut off, to Din Djarin, who's being taken to the debriefing room, but not if he has anything to say about it, as he gets loose and puts up a good fight. It seemed that he was going to bite the dust early in this episode, but Grogu comes in and saves the day in the IG-12 suit. Then the pair share a moment before Din tells Grogu they have to take out Moff Gideon once and for all. From there, we're back with Bo's group, who get contacted by Din. Bo informs him that they need to get out of there and wait for reinforcements, and as her group jettisons away, the TIE interceptors and bombers are off as well en route to destroy the light cruiser in orbit. Cutting to Moff Gideon, we get more proof of his iconic line, a friendly piece of advice: assume I know everything, as he already knows Din has gotten away from captivity. But this time, the Moff isn't messing around, as he informs the Super Commando that he's going to deal with the Mandalorian himself. Din and Grogu make their way through the base with the help of R5, eventually reaching the laser-enclosed walkway we saw last episode, and this is where Din goes ham. He goes row by row, starting with no weapons at all, taking out Super Commando after Super Commando after Super Commando. He really reminded us here of his lethal versatility by making light work of Gideon's profound troops. Once they're through the Super Commandos, they come to the cloning vats we also saw last week, and well, Gideon cloned himself, and with no hesitation, Din ruptures the vats, ruining the clones, and Gideon is not happy about this. Not just because he's an egomaniac, no, but because these clones were force sensitive. He actually did it. As far as I know, this was the first time they got force sensitive cloned in canon, because we all know General Grievous is a failed experiment of it, so this was a pretty big deal for them off. Jumping back to the other groups, Axe scurries aboard the light cruiser and quickly evacuates them onto the gauntlets as Bo and crew settle down in an underground garden the pirate Mandalorians had planted and settled in while they were there on Mandalore. But they don't get the chance to get comfortable as the armorer contacts them that reinforcements are on the way. Axe has stayed behind on the cruiser and is going to guide the ship as its captain as it's attacked, with the TIEs trading places with the gauntlets in a really cool scene. But the light cruiser isn't the focus right now. It's the gauntlets soaring down to the planet to aid the ground crew, and as they do, Bo and company jettison back into the skies to join the incoming Mandos. This kicks off what is probably a top 5 fight for me in all of Star Wars. The armor and the reinforcements drop out of the gauntlets in dramatic fashion to join Bo-Katan as she ignites the Darksaber to lead them into battle. As they engage with the Super Commandos, we jump back to Din and Grogu, who face off with Moff Gideon. This is actually where he reveals his clones were force sensitive, but I told you guys just a bit early because I got really excited to talk about it. Anyway, Din engages with him, but before they can really get started, the Praetorian Guards return. And once again, it seemed like Din was going to bite the dust, especially considering how quickly Paz was taken down, but his agility proved incredibly helpful as he was able to evade them long enough to not die. But just because you don't die doesn't mean something bad doesn't happen. Grogu comes out from his hiding spot and draws their attention, leading to him and Din being split up once again, and IG-12 quickly being destroyed. But who needs a mech suit when you can jump around like Yoda? Because Grogu certainly doesn't. He hops out of the IG unit and evades the Praetorians, doing flips around the room, much like Yoda did in the prequels. As both Din and Grogu clash with their opponents, Bo-Katan sees Din fighting Moff Gideon in the sky and comes crashing down to seek revenge on the Moff who's harmed her so many times. This allows Din to get into the room with Grogu and take the attention from the Praetorian Guards, much like Grogu did to him just moments earlier. This is where Grogu really started showing off. We know he could do jumps, we knew he could do flips, but he unleashed a rather unseen portion of his power to aid Din in the fight, all being trapped under a couple bars of metal. The pair are able to take down the Praetorians, mainly because of Grogu being able to disorient them enough to where Din could slip in and get the shots off that would take them down. Meanwhile, Bo was struggling to take down Gideon, who was fighting with serious anger this season, and I mean this was a whole different Gideon than we saw in the Season 2 finale. It almost begs to question if this was a clone. But, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole today. Let's just say this was the original for our own sakes. So as Bo and Gideon go head to head, he finally gets the advantage on her, and when he's unable to get the Darksaber from her grasp, he crushes it. It was at this point I thought Bo-Katan was going to meet her end. I'm not really sure why I thought everyone was going to die this episode, I just did. But before Gideon can kill her, we're reminded that Mandalorians are stronger together as Din and Grogu come in and save the day, beating down Gideon. But because they're so focused on fighting Gideon, they don't get the message from Axe Wolves that he's crashing the light cruiser into the base. Luckily, Casca Reeves did receive the transmission and got those fighting in the skies out, but Din, Bo, and Grogu were still on the platform when the cruiser hit. In an effort to save Grogu, Din and Bo use their bodies and whatever else they can to get in front of the child as we, the audience, along with Moff Gideon, are consumed by the flames. But one last time, Grogu saves the day as he creates a pocket for the trio within the ball of fire. To end the season, we head back down to the mines where Ragnar Vizsla is being properly inducted into the Creed after his prior attempt was interrupted. Din and Grogu enter as spectators, but Din quickly brings Grogu to the steps and claims him as his adopted son. This one hit really close to home for me, and I absolutely love this moment with the two as the armor gives us one last "this is the way" before Grogu stares down into the living water and awakens the mythosaur. I do think Grogu used beast control to do this, and I think it's teasing that he will ride it later on in the Mandoverse. But who knows, maybe they just wanted to show us the beast one last time. After the ceremony, they head to the Great Forge as Bo-Katan reignites it and seemingly becomes Mandalore as the jointed Mandalorians chant in honor. Now that Grogu is Din's apprentice, they have to traverse the galaxy while Grogu learns how to be a Mandalorian, hands-on. So to find work, Din travels to the New Republic airbase we met Zeb at back in episode 5, and here, Din asks Carson Teva for work, mainly patrolling the Outer Rim sniffing out Imperials, and he becomes an unofficial ranger of the New Republic. Finally, we return to Navarro as we get one last scene between Mando and Magistrate Karga. This is where we see the IG head from the New Republic bar put to use, and IG-11 has become the Marshal of Navarro. Then Din and Grogu finally settle down for a bit on their land, and we get a happy ending with Din kicking his feet up and Grogu playing with the frog as he loves to do so much. So before I wrap up, I want to talk a little bit about Season 4, which will go into production in October. Just real quick, going over expectations and what was set up here in the finale. Oh, and before we speculate, I wanted to touch on the spies like I said I would. So over the last week, many online had said that the spies really meant the Mandalorians who went to explore Mandalore. This comes from the story of the 12 spies who were dispatched by Moses to scout land as a future home for the Israelite people. This makes a lot of sense to me now, and is actually a really cool reference by Favreau or whoever titles these episodes. With that out of the way, we'll start with the obvious. It's clearly going to be Din and Grogu going on missions throughout the galaxy next season. I predict this will be much closer to what Season 1 was, rather than Season 2. It's also worth noting that this feels reminiscent of what Han Solo is doing in the very beginning of the Heir to the Empire novel, checking out remnants and the damage they're doing to the galaxy. I think we'll see Din coming across some of the Shadow Council members and the trouble they're causing in the Outer Rim, and maybe, just maybe the New Beyond, depending on how Ahsoka goes. Then, there's the Mythosaur. I gotta be honest, this is the thing I'm a bit disappointed about with the finale. I did expect a little more. But the tease with having it seemingly connect with Grogu through the Force got me super excited for future possibilities, so I guess they did enough to keep me intrigued. But like I said earlier, I do see Grogu taming and riding the beast down the road in the Mandoverse. Finally, an alternative rider of the Mythosaur, and this is a super far-fetched fan theory I mentioned to one of my buddies right after the episode aired, and my mind is made up on it. So what if Moff Gideon survived because of his new armor and ended up deeper down in the planet, found the Mythosaur, and took it for himself to seek revenge on the Mandalorians who ruined his plans? I'd love this. I mean, the thought of Giancarlo Esposito riding the beast is wild to me, but doing it in his new armor, it's even crazier. So this is going to be my wild fanfiction I stick to throughout Season 4. And that'll do it. Season 3 is over and my coverage is coming to an end. There might be a few shorts in the next week or two as I get a full grasp on everything and take a second look at the season, but for the most part, we've come to an end. While this was the weakest season of Mando in my opinion, I still enjoyed it a decent amount, and it left me eager for the future of the Mandoverse. So bravo on that. But my question is for you guys. Well, I guess it's really two questions. One, what did you guys think of the finale, The Return? And two, what did you guys think of Season 3 as a whole? Go ahead and let me know down in the comments below, and subscribe to the channel so that you can stay up to date with all the nerdy news, theories, and rumors, which I'll add there's going to be a lot of coverage on the original Thrawn trilogy as we head towards Ahsoka, so if you're interested in that, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. I thank you guys for joining me and experiencing Season 3 of The Mandalorian, and hope you return for Ahsoka, if not sooner for Secret Invasion over the summer, and most of all, make sure you have a great day.